Off we go. Okay, recording started, Ron. Welcome again. Welcome to all the members who could be a part of this conversation. A special welcome to those members that have taken an early rise to their morning to be a part of this. And I know,
I appreciate that.
yeah, on other sides of the world, there are members here right now that are just trying their best to stay awake so they can be a part of this. And so thank you for that, and thank you for your commitment to wanting to be here live with us. And so, Ron,
Yes.
we're gonna get started and kind of continue the conversation on this wonderful PHF action plan that's been constructed and put together. So, are you ready to go?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's dive right into it.
Okay. So, I just want to give a basic summary. It's not written on the document, but it's very quick. So last week we covered more of just the general doings of the PHF and what led to the importance of making sure that we get people into homes and not have to be concerned with their mortgage and how they pay for their homes. And now this week we're going to actually talk specific about the PHF action plan and how it works. And so how it works, it's going to be involved in two parts. PHF action plan is going to have a funding terms for the new home purchase is the first part. And then the second part will be the funding terms and discussion for what is called home value recovery program. Okay, so we're going to go through those separately, but we'll make sure that we understand that those are the two focal points for the PHF program.
Very good. Excuse me. Would you like me to go ahead then?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, how about I read the first one and then Mr. and Mrs. Mouse, you guys can cover the rest after that. Okay, so under the funding terms, sounds good? Okay, so under the funding terms for new home purchasing, under the PHF action plan, so this has to do with those people that want to purchase a home, and this is after that their mortgage has been cleared and they now have a clean and clear title. So they can either choose to purchase a new home or they can use the home value recovery program. So under the new home purchasing program, a buyer and seller must be 21 years of age or older in order to participate in purchasing a new home.
Okay. We we don't require the buyer or the seller. They have a home, so the person that's going to be a part of our program, where we're financially involved with them, is the buyer. So the seller doesn't have to be 21 years of age. And there are some young entrepreneurs.
Okay.
That's good.
All right. Mr. Mouse, Mrs. Mouse, you want to handle the next three?
Absolutely. The PHF plan will finance 100% of the purchase price to the seller. The buyer must participate and pay a 10% down payment prior to the closing of the home.
Okay.
At closing, you want me to continue the other two?
Hey, Mrs. Mouse, I think you skipped one. There was one above that.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. One PHF transaction will occur for every 60 months. The PHF action plan will finance 100% of the purchase price to the seller. The buyer must participate and pay a 10% down payment prior to closing of the home. And at closing, the 10% down payment will be refunded and deposited back to the general cash account of the buyer.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's the three that he wanted me to read.
Rod, do you have any comments on those areas?
Yeah, let me go through the first four. We'll discuss that.
Okay.
A buyer and a seller must be 21 years of age. It's a legal contract, and younger people, unless it's the buyer or the seller who owns a home, in order to have a contract, you have to be of legal age. And so that's something that's I said that, and yet in trying to look at it or understand it, um, there may be circumstances outside of the United States where a person can't buy a home, getting involved in real estate and trying to buy and sell and fix up and sell. Um, and but I don't know those kinds of things. But for our buyers, for Loved One Society people and who are beneficiaries, they have to be 21 to participate in this program. So if you're 18 years of age, you can become a beneficiary. When you become a beneficiary, then you can use your holding account, one of your holding accounts, to accumulate your down payment. That'll be $1,000 a month or $4,000 a month, $1,000 a week. It all depends on where you are, whether you can afford to buy a home. The average here in Utah is around $550,000. So it takes you $5,500. Excuse me, $55,000 to for a down payment, and you divide 4 into that, and that's how many months it'll take you, or weeks, or months, or whatever, to gain that $5,500,000. And the down payment. Now, why do we have it? We're talking to managing directors here, okay? Why do we say you have to have 10% down payment? We're going to eliminate a lot of non-serious people buying a house by requiring the 10% down payment. In other words, if you have $55,000 laying around, you want to buy a house, then you can do that. But that puts you an interest or the skin in the game, if that's the right word to say. You have skin in the game so that it's real to you and not some free giveaway program. Now, we're going to finance 100% finance, meaning we're going to issue a loan for and in this case, we're kind of talking about $550,000 for a home. We're going to pay. We're going to loan you the money for that amount of money, and then there will be a monthly down payment, which is a normal thing for people. But we will raise your RSS program, your per minute download program, so that it will cover a monthly payment for a 15-year payoff without any interest. Now, that's the way that it's supposed to be. And we feel very comfortable in this. Now, somebody's going to remind, well, is this going to go all over the world? Yes, it is. And you're not the only one involved in it. There will be maybe 25,000 people, managing directors in all parts of the countries or the world that will be involved in this. Is there enough money? Well, just in the United States, there's $52 trillion worth of homes, condos and homes. And that's a couple of years ago. It's probably gone up from then. But we're only talking about trillions. Did I say only? We're talking about trillions, 52 trillions of dollars that we would have to pay if we're paying for all the homes in the United States. And if we go through our process of redemption and we have the higher bonds and we have and ask for the higher rates, we'll have all of the money. One person will be able to cover the cost of all of the homes for the whole world. If you get into a quintillion, in your quarterly payments. I figured it out one time with what I had at the time, and it was 165 quintillion that's been given every quarter. And so what we're looking at is any one of us could take care of all of this. So we're not talking, it's the money is not the issue with us. We want to do things in a way that the beneficiaries can get into a home of their own. Now, to be a beneficiary, you have to be 18. Well, 18 to 21 is 3 years. So if a young man and a woman graduate from high school, they would like to buy a home of their own. They have 3 years to get for a down payment on a home that they excuse me, that they would feel comfortable in buying. Now, each one of us look inside and say, what would it be like to be able to fall in love with your high school sweetheart and buy a home and start a family? A home that will never be taken from you. And we've got at least $4,000 a month income for one person, and that's $8,000 a month for two people. And of course, every country is a little different in how much value that is, but it's just a terrific value or amount of money for a young couple to have. Now, with that kind of money, they can go on to school if they want to, tech school, learn a particular trade, learn how to be a nurse or be an electrician or a construction worker or all kinds of different trades. You don't have to go to school for that. Well, I'll say you don't have to go to a 4-year college to do that. I went to college and got a degree in physical education. The first 2 years I was in college I had some of my classes that were for my for my degree, but most of the time in the first 2 years, I was spending doing things that they required for me to have a degree, but it had nothing to do with physical education, and my degree was designed for those who want to be a PE teacher in high school or junior high school. I needed a degree because I was going to be a pilot in the military, in the Air Force, and eventually ended up in the National Guard, the Army National Guard. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is there's a whole different way to start living once the RSS program takes place and once the redemption appointments take place. And managing directors are going to be able to do this for all kinds of people. And so let's take a look at this and be sincere in looking into it. See what a great blessing this is for anybody to buy a home anywhere in the world. And this is our job. This is what we came here to do. Okay. Number 2 here is the PHF transactions will occur every 60 months. Let's rephrase that a little bit. Let's say if you want to buy a different house, then you have to wait at least 60 months, excuse me, and have the home paid off in order for you to go through and buy another house under the same circumstances as a beneficiary like before. This is going to give you an opportunity to use homes, provide homes, and buy and sell them if that's what you want to do. But you can do that every 5 years, 60 months. And it's your option. You can do it no sooner than that, even if you pay it off, because you got to wait your turn. There's going to be a lot of people that want homes. So If you pay it off early, then that's a good thing, but you don't need to, because we're going to give you the money to pay the monthly payments for 15 years. That's a free home. We're giving you the monthly payments so that it will be kind of like normal to you. Normal meaning for society as this is now. Very few people, you put down a down payment and make monthly payments. And that's how most homes are built or bought in the world, wherever. Some kind of a down payment and then monthly payments. And so we're structuring it that way so that it's very similar to what you have grown up with or what your parents have grown up with if you're young people. But the reality is, yes, in 15 years, it'll be paid for by us. And so we're going to give you that money up front, and then you're going to pay it back by us giving you money to pay us back. I think that that's really a wonderful thing. Okay, number 3, the action plan will finance 100% of the purchase price to the seller. The buyer must participate in and pay a 10. Oh, the buyer must precipitate and pay a 10% down payment prior to the closing of the home. Now, in the closing, we mentioned before that there's the purchase is through a bill of sale, like buying a car or a truck or whatever. But you write down the parameters of the sale. There's going to be documentation so that you can have somebody review it if they're in real estate, and they can counsel you. And we recommend that sort of thing. And if those people who are in real estate want to participate, they can. We're planning on doing a multiple listing type service where if you want to live in Germany, let's say Munich, Germany, what are the homes like over there and what homes are for sale if you wanted to move there? Well, you can go and find the multiple listing of different houses, different price ranges, number of bedrooms and all that sort of stuff that you would like in an area that you would like. This is the way that the program will have to go. And there's been some discussion from people about how to provide some kind of a listing service, whether we buy the multiple listing service from the real estate agents, it doesn't matter. But mostly the real estate agents would be those who find somebody that wants to sell our house that are not familiar with what we do. And you can say, I guarantee I'll sell your house for you. Well, how can you guarantee that? Because I know where we can get the money for anybody to buy your house if they want to. And so the real estate people can be real estate listings, can do real estate listings. Not so many real estates to sell, unless the people are not familiar with how to do that, and they have a buyer through our system, and then they get a buying or a selling part of the listing that was from the person who listed it. But all of that stuff is the normal process. We're not going to try to interfere with that. We want real estate people to make their money. We want everybody to be making money. Now, the person that's selling the home, we're not going to give them offers, or we don't want our people to give them offers below what is the value of the home. So how do they value the home? Well, you go to listing agents and they go through the different appraisals and all that sort of stuff and come up with a price. And we pay the highest price. See, that's where we're different. We'll pay the highest value that is put on that property. And why do we care what the highest is? We don't care. As long as there's 3 that are being done at the same time, so that there's nobody just trying to blue sky us and have us buy a $550,000 home for $1 million. You know, there's somebody overviewing this. And if you're not honest and sincere in your desire, if you're going to just try and milk this thing, you're going to be in some real serious problems. You got to be a buyer, or excuse me, a beneficiary, and a beneficiary has their down pay or their 10 cents a minute down payment or download. Who's in charge of that? If you're going to be a dishonest person, you're going to have some difficulties with your money coming from the alliance. It's just the way it is. So nobody gets to be crooked. Everybody needs to work towards the best value of other people, not for yourself. If you're in it for the money, then you're going to have. I don't want to. I don't know where the cutoff is going to be and how it's going to be. But we're working for the people who are involved with society and bringing their contributions to society, their unique contributions to society, whether they get an employee contract, employee agreement, excuse me, and work, or whether they start a business of their own and use their home, their holding accounts. There's 6 of them for every beneficiary. Use those to start a business, 1 or 2 of them. And if you're married, then you've got 6 of them to use. You just have to write down whether each one is going to be used for, and then that's your little contract with the alliance. And when you're finished, like getting a down payment for your home, and now we've got the 500, 500, 5,000, 5,000, what is it, 5,500, 55,000, excuse me. Brain cramps here. 55,000 for a down payment. When you get that much and you buy your house, then find something else to use that money for because it's coming to you. You just find some other reason, and then it's like when I got married, my wife liked to put jars where the kitchen window was, the seal, the window seal. She put jars up there for what was labeled for food and all of this sort of stuff, and the different bills that we had. And she would cash the check and then put the cash in those accounts. And you couldn't take one from another unless there was a major emergency. But that's the way she budgeted. And I really liked that. She was an Australian, a beautiful lady. And so, but the holding accounts are very similar to that. You have to have a reason for it. And it doesn't matter what your purpose is, but you can't just simply use it for impulse buying. You have to have a specific reason for it. The alliance doesn't matter as long as you're using your integrity when you're asking for this new money. It has to go someplace, and you're the one that's saying, well, it's going to go over here. Okay, that's the holding accounts. So you can have 6 of those. And the beneficiary gets the 10 cents per minute download from, he bought that account. There it is. He can only buy one account. There it is, but it has 10 or 7 additional to it, 6 additional to it, making a total of 7. And that's going to be a large flow of money into society for every beneficiary that is there. It's a marvelous experience. Okay. So there's a 10% down payment. Why do we do that? Because everybody has to have a down payment for their home. Only when you go to the closing and sign all the documents and put everything in the right place, All those documents for closing will go into the quantum financial system and will go into the back office of each of the individuals as a place to put important papers. I don't know how it's going to look like now, but we'll make it so that it looks really good. And your PHF button on your then it will take all of the documents and everything and have a place to store it. Just upload it, scan the documents, and put them in there. That's the way that's what I perceive it. Now, how to interface with the Alliance for the actual documents, I'm not sure yet. We'll find out, even if it's needed to do it that way. Because the quantum financial system has the buyer and the seller, and they have a permanent record of one person selling it and this person buying it. It's a permanent record. And because this is a God consciousness that's involved in the quantum financial system, this is God taking care of his children. That's the way I see it. Okay, let's go to number 4.
Yeah. Hey, Ron, before we go forward, do you mind if I jump in on this?
I do not mind.
Okay. I wanted to make a comment because I know there are people out there, and it was a great explanation you gave us, one that everybody should really sit and listen to again on the recording, especially those listening to the recording. But there are some people out in the chats and in the group that basically have a problem with getting the 10%. They feel like people are not going to want to pay the 10%. So I understand that. That's a real thing. That's in their mind. They've already predetermined that a homeless person cannot come up with 10%. So what I wanted to do is, instead of try to acknowledge, well, just allow it to be, why don't I give some of the people in this group a suggestion how any individual buyer can come up with the 10% very easily. And I'll do it in 2 seconds. Well, I'll do it in 20 seconds. So here's some thoughts, because this is what makes Ron's programs so wonderful, to be able to understand it in depth, how one can work off the other. So if a buyer of a home, in order to use the PHF program, has to be a beneficiary, has to be signed up on the RSS program. So they're going to get their 10 cents per minute. And as Ron just said, they have their 6 holding accounts, and they could actually physically write down one of the determining factors for a holding account is to go for a down payment. And so let's say they choose that as one of their holding accounts. So that's an extra 10 cents per minute. So another $50,000 a year. And it may take
52.
a year to, 52,000, should they decide to. Okay, so maybe that they don't want to wait that long. Well, what if they're a married couple? Well, then now each person, the married couple, each has an RSS beneficiary account. Each has a whole ability to have a holding account for a down payment on a house. And so now that may cut that down payment in half if they're going to work together to purchase a home.
Mhm.
Let's go a step further. What if in the process of the RSS beneficiary program, they sign up 50 new participants as beneficiaries? They're going to get 25 extra cents per minute from the registration bonus. One cent increase per 2 people they sign up. So if they sign up 50 people, that's 25 cents more, which is, if I'm not mistaken, that's $20,000 a month additional to their RSS download. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is,
let me do the math. It's
yeah, I think
2,500 a week. 25 times it's 2,500 a week, or 10,000 a month.
Yeah. And so
28 day month.
In a 28-day month. So it's not going to take long to come up with a 10% download. And this is for if people, let's just say they've never purchased a home and they wouldn't know how to go about getting a down payment. What if the person did own a home and they decide they want to purchase a new home through the program? Well, they're going to get benefited from the payoff of the mortgage initially, in order to then decide if they want to use the program, which means they'll have that money from the payoff of the mortgage to apply as a down payment. And so here's my point in this whole thing. As managing directors, it's our responsibility to think of the options to help people understand how easy it will be to make this down payment depending on the value of the home that they're buying and whatever the 10% calculation is. If we just sit and think about it, all the options that Ron has put together, and I didn't even talk about, Ron, the employment agreements. If they get a job and they use the employment agreements, that'll be an extra amount of money coming to them. That there are ways very quickly that they'll add up to a down payment to purchase a new home. And that's what I wanted to say.
Okay, and let me enter, and I appreciate that because that's all really true. Now, there two things came up. What if they don't know how to buy a house? What if they don't know how to live in a house and take care of it? What if they don't know how to plumb or electrical problems, or what other kinds of problems can they have in a home? Well, there's going to be opportunities for people who have um, YouTube channels and all that sort of thing to explain what you need to do to live into a home. And I'm sure that we'll not necessarily just love one society, but anybody, any one of us can do those kinds of videos to help people get in there. That's number one. The other side, instead of having 6 jars in the window, what if you said, well, this is going to be 1/6 of the down payment? That one's going to be 1/6 of the down payment. In other words, the total amount of $1,000 a week with one holding account, you can have more than one holding account that you've got set up for the down payment. And then when the time comes, then you have to you get your 100, what you've got for a down payment. Then you can start putting it up for travel or wardrobe or a new car or whatever, or for the children's growing up expenses. All of these are valid things. Now, if I were to say to people, I would say it to people, inquire of the Lord. What do you think could be the best way to do this, Jesus? You don't have to be so personal and so, well, what would thou want us to do? No, don't be that way. That puts him over in a way that you don't relate to him. He's your friend. He's your brother. Just say, what do you think we ought to do here? Should we use the 6 holding accounts for a down payment? It'll come really fast. It'll probably come faster than we can find a home that we want to purchase. Rest assured that there's going to be a shortage of homes. And it's finding the home that might be the biggest concern that you're going to work with. Where are you going to live? Are you going to stay where you are? Are you going to move across town? Are you going to move over there? Or are you going to move out of state or out of the province that you're living in? Where would you want to live? Because your down payment will determine the home that you buy. So if you want a $1 million home, then you have to have a $100,000 down payment. Well, just figure it all out. Husband and wife, both beneficiaries. You've got 12 holding accounts. And you can acquire a lot of money in a very short period of time. Managing or beneficiaries, there'll be some parameters that we'd like to put in their back office so that when they want to buy a house, these are the things to consider. When you're buying a house, are you growing your family, or is your family grown up and you want to move into a smaller home? Do you want to stay in your family home and add on to it, make it bigger? Those are the kinds of things that you can work out. If you have equity, you can borrow against the equity, and we'll help you with all that. The equity is the what we call the home value recovery program. and it's not necessarily that way, but we can use our ingenuity, we can use our imagination on how to solve problems that have never been here before. We can invent and we can create new ways of living because we have the sources to make those kinds of decisions that you have never had an opportunity to make before. So that's important for us. And thank you, Don, because that's a very valuable thing to do. How do you get your down payment? Now, let's not talk about homeless people, okay? Homeless people, many of them are not interested in a home. That may sound silly, but there's those who would rather sleep on the streets. It's not our choice. It's not our position to choose for them. We just do the right thing and make things available. And if they harmonize with that idea, then they'll move forward on it. But don't talk to me about, oh, what are the homeless going to do? They don't have emails and all that sort of stuff. How do you know that? How do you know that they don't want to go and afford to buy a computer? All you need is a bank account, and in the quantum financial system, you just establish one. And how you use money right now, we don't know if there's going to be a card. I suspect, highly suspect, that they will use a card for the quantum financial system so you don't have to carry around cash. But see, a card takes the place of you just give them the card instead of having them give you their account and then you just transfer it over to there. There's all kinds of different ways, and the card can do that very easily and very quickly. All of those kinds of things are going to be brand new to people. Yes, if there's somebody that's homeless and doesn't have access to the internet, they can be taught. They can be taught, but don't use that as an excuse. Well, they don't have this and they don't have that. How are they going to be part of the RS? Well, you figure it out. I'm not going to answer all your questions about silly things like that. You got a brain on your shoulders and inside your head. Use it. You're the creator. You create the things that need to be taken care of, and this is a solution. And you can do this if you want to. But there's those who won't just use their mind. They want somebody else to tell them how to do it all. Well, there's going to be somebody that's either going to tell them or they're not going to get a chance to be where they could be. We're not saviors. We're just opportunists who provide an opportunity for somebody to improve their life. It's up to them to make the choices, and it's up to them to make a change in their life. Let's not baby feed them. If they're human beings, they're creators. So quit treating them like they're homeless or something that you have in lowest self-esteem or low esteem. Quit judging people. Give them opportunities and see if they can fly. Give them opportunities. Financial opportunities is a solution to so many problems that people have. And we've got the solutions. That's what the revenue sharing solutions is. It's a solution on how to share revenue with people. This is the solution. So I don't want to get into that very much, but I get a lot of it. Well, what about this and this? No, you solve your own problems. Don't come in and talking to me because I'm not going to answer them.
No, thank you very much, and I appreciate that. The final thing I want to say too is Ron has said in this PHF program, when the 10% payment is made, the down payment after closing, or excuse me, prior to closing, when you go to closing, you get the 10% back. So everything that you've worked hard as a homeowner, potential homeowner, to put into the PHF program, 10%, immediately comes back to you. So there is really no outlay. It's just a temporary buy-in from the homeowner that Ron has done here. And so we have solutions to allow them to earn the 10% if we just think as managing directors about the different options that are available, and there are plenty. And so, Ron, I apologize for jumping off, but this is a big topic, and I hope people get it, that it's not a
It
big
is a
deal.
big topic.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you, or anybody that's listening, do you think we're on the right track by doing things that are normal? The reality is we could just give them money for the house. Any house you want, anywhere in the world. How many people are going to want to take the $50 billion house up on the hill? How many people are going to be fighting for a home like that instead of kind of working towards something that they can really be happy with? There's greedy people out there. The home you want, the home that you can call a home and make to be a home, isn't the one on the hill unless you have the money to and you want to live on the hill. Now, I'm saying that to managing directors, but I'm saying that to anybody. If you want to get the house on the hill, then you got to do the stuff that's necessary. We could give you the $50,000 or $50 million or whatever it is for the house on the hill. We could write out a check for that. Do you agree that this is a better program for the integrity of the individual? That's what we're trying to hold on to here. Giving people an opportunity that they've never had before, but it's not free and easy. It's really free, but there takes time to go through it all. It takes time to get your down payment, but we're showing you how to get the down payment. We're just requiring you to do it. Do you think that's a good idea? I've thought this thing through, and it has to be done this way. I hope you approve of it, because that's what the Alliance has given us to do. This is the process. It's one of the action plans.
Okay. So,
Does that
Ron,
help?
yeah, Ron, believe me, it absolutely. I'm so excited about it that I'm just dying to get an opportunity to help people do through this program. It's just amazing to me. So
Thank
just
you.
a couple final points here is that after closing is completed, then the buyer is to be funded 100% of whatever the allocated mortgage or payment is going to be through an increased download to their RSS platform. And that's to be done at no interest, no percentage interest over 15 years. Is that correct?
That is correct. And the money will be downloaded to a place in your back office where you can see it accumulating. It's not going to be your cash funds. It will be, you'll just see it accumulate to the point that it reaches the amount that's necessary to make the payment. And then the payment will be automatically taken out. But you'll see it, and you'll see it getting right up there to, oh, isn't that fun to see that? We don't have to worry about our monthly payment.
Right.
What
Right.
does that
And
mean, too? What's the other side of that? Our home will never be taken from us by foreclosure or somebody telling us we have to move. How's that? It's your home.
fantastic. Fantastic.
It's
And
never
also,
happened
Ron,
in all our lives.
excuse me, also with the monthly payment, once everything is signed and dotted and it's completed, the amount of the download is accrued for the first 30 days in order to build up that fund to then take the starting payment back. Is that correct also?
That's correct. It'll be due in 30 days or 31 days, however many to the rest of the month. For the okay, it'll be kind of like an average. If there's like leap year, this is 29 days this year, but normally it's only 28, and we're probably in real close to a 28-day cycle, but it's probably going to be like 30 days. Hold it for 30 days, then the money will be taken out. And it may be taken out on the 30th of the month or whatever, whenever the anniversary of the 30 days that you bought the home.
Okay. All right. Well, fantastic. And I want to go ahead and then move on into the home value recovery program. Mr. and Mrs. Mouse, if you guys can come in, I'm sorry for taking over here. I didn't mean to do that, but I wanted to make sure we covered these points. And if we can talk about the home value recovery program, that'll be great.